Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Trader Merlin. It is your... Wow, we're on Wednesday already? Man, time flies. Trivia last night. I actually got to play for first time in quite some time, not host it. Did okay. Came in second place. Nice start there. Good to see you, Farm Bees. We got Daryl, we got Thomasina, Katut, Lisa, Liz, Big Eb, Les, and Kenny was the first to the chat today. Good job, Kenny. It's tough to beat out Les. Les is always quick on the first one into the room. I guess somewhat exciting day. You know, the song remains the same with regards to what happened out there with Bitcoin, but I want to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff, particularly commodities. And I figured we would start off with do I say headliner news? We look at the earnings announcements that came out. We'll talk about Cisco was one of the bigger names that reported. So let me bring up that picture here and we can talk about the Cisco earnings numbers. I'm not sure why my computer's taking so long to load up. Let's hope I'm not on another bad internet connection. Yeah, should be fine, but for some reason my earnings counter doesn't want to load up. Here we go. All right, so here's your Cisco numbers. Just shocked at why it's taking so long for this thing to load up here. All right, I guess I'll just go to my graphic here of a wonderful Chuck Robbins, not the best looking AI picture. Sorry for those of you who are fans of Chuck Robbins, but this is what AI thinks he looks like. That's the CEO of Cisco Systems. And here's their basic numbers for today. Their earnings per share was 91 cents adjusted versus an expectation of 87 cents. So all in all, they beat by 4 cents. So there we go. I don't see a description on crypto on OTA. Vanara, what do you mean by that? My discussion on crypto. Which discussion? If you're looking for the one I did for the XLT General session, you have to go into the XLT room and look for the archive recordings. The XLT General session is where I did that discussion at Trading Academy. So earnings-wise, you look at this, you think, oh, not bad. 91 cents adjusted, 87 is what they expected, so they beat by 4 cents. Revenue came out at $13.84 billion versus expectations of $13.77. So based off those two numbers, you look at this and go, well, that actually seemed okay. Well, year-over-year numbers aren't really that great. When you look at revenue down 6% on the quarter alone, net income has dropped from $3.64 billion down to $2.71. That's not good. Networking revenue was down 23%. Their security system stuff was up 100%. So that's good. But all in all, the numbers for Cisco Systems don't look great. Now, there is one segment that's crushing it, other than security. So maybe two segments. And that segment is AI. Convenient how that ties into everything. And listening to Chuck Robbins talk today, it sounds like Cisco is hanging their hat on AI as being, this is it. It's going to save us, right? It's going to bring us back to salvation. So let me bring up CSCO. Make sure you get the ticker symbol right. So there's your earnings announcement. You can see really kind of muted. I will put on a 5-minute time frame here so you can see the whipsaw. You had real big reactions initially, but all in all, actually just barely down, 0.34% slide on this earnings call. Now, Cisco used to be really, really important. Why? Because Cisco was the only stock back in the day. Actually, there were two. Microsoft and Cisco were the only ones that were a part of the S&P, the NASDAQ, and the Dow. And then Intel comes along and other companies joined. So back in the late 90s, this one was one of the most significant players. Now, it's lost a lot of its weighting. Its weight on the indexes is also muted, not very impactful. Nonetheless, it is an indication of what's going on in the tech world, since Cisco obviously is big in the tech infrastructure and connectivity of systems. So I found it interesting that they're hanging their hat on AI just like everybody else is. They expect to have huge orders for AI. They saw a big demand for AI-related services and connectivity components. So there's your Cisco part. And the only reason I brought it up is I had a question from somebody named Dan. Dan, thank you very much. Said, what would I do with Cisco off their earnings? And honestly, you look at this chart here, all does look well. And when you look at those numbers, yeah, right, Big Gabby says every CEO and CFO mentions AI on the earnings call. You have to. It's like if you don't mention it, you're going to get fired. Why? Because it's the buzzword everyone wants to hear. I mean, I could just imagine somebody like, I don't know, Monster Energy drink on their conference calls. Like, well, our sales are down, but we're looking at AI to help boost things, and then the stock takes off. Oh, you just got to mention AI. So Dan was asking about Cisco. Look, the numbers aren't great. I see some holes in their systems, particularly quarter over quarter, even though they beat earnings expectation. I'm looking at the trend right now. You kind of have to go with that trend. Now, based off the numbers that came out today, I actually do think you'll see this thing sell off a little bit. It's a little bit of a pullback. You have that unfilled gap from about 6 days ago, between $56 and $57. So I do think you'll see Cisco have a little bit of a pullback, but all in all, that trend is looking pretty good. And if the CEO is correct, and they are seeing a big uptick in AI-related purchases and networking, then they'll probably do okay. I don't own any Cisco. This is one that I have subtly removed from my trading world. And for those that have followed the show for a long time, you know that there's one stock that I'm not allowed to trade. It's literally in my trading plan. I'm not allowed to trade Apple. But Cisco is a close second. I had a trade back in 2001, I think, on Cisco on an earnings announcement, and I told myself I'd never trade Cisco again. It's not in my plan. That's more of a mental note. So I guess there's 3 things I can't trade. I can't trade Apple, I can't trade Cisco, and I can't trade biotech or pharmaceutical stocks. Just say no to drugs. Nancy Reagan would be so proud of me today. So there's your Cisco numbers. Again, the trend looks fantastic. I'll wait and see what happens on the earnings announcement, or on the aftershock from their earnings announcement. I think a lot of people are going to be digging through those numbers. And just a quick glance, a lot of the numbers I looked at were relatively negative. The net income one is the one that concerned me. They went from $3.64 billion down to $2.71. Not good. That's a pretty significant quarterly decline. And we'll see if they lower their forecast going forward, although it sounded rather optimistic with AI and AI integration. Hello, Lori. Yes, Lisa, Monster, drink a Monster and you'll become proficient with AI. You drink enough of them, you'll probably have a heart attack, but that's a whole nother story. I actually don't mind the Monster. The ones I can't, I actually don't really drink energy drinks, but Celsius. Everyone's like hooked on these Celsius drinks, which, man, just sounds like jet fuel. Why bother? All right, so let's go on to our second piece of data, which is going to be the inflation side of things. Of course, right now, all eyes are on the inflation data because that is going to, in my opinion, dictate what the Fed does with their rate announcement. Now, here is the CPI numbers that came out, and you saw, in line with expectations, they thought we were going to jump from 2.4 up to 2.6%. So we did see a jump up today. Now, this is, where you kind of have to understand how these markets are constructed. You're looking at it, you think, oh, that's not bad. Sorry, that's bad. That's a tick up, right? We're seeing inflation increase. Well, we're actually not. If you look at the numbers here, I'm going to make this big so you guys can see the last 12 bars. So there's today. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Today, what happened is this little guy right here from November of 2023, that one fell off, and then we got this new one added in. So if you look at it, really the inflation number, for all intents and purposes, is 2.4%. Why? The last 4 months of consumer price index has been stuck at 0.2%. Average that over a year, you're looking at 2.4% inflation. So the good news is inflation is not rising. The bad news is when you look at these calculations, look at these big bars you see back here in February, March, and April of this year. Those at some point next year will fall off, and that could give the illusion that inflation is declining even faster, because you look at the April and the March numbers over 0.4%. If we swap out a 0.4 for a 0.2, well, we're going to drop our inflation rather quickly. So keep an eye on these ones when the next number comes out, because you might see the year-over-year increase, but the monthly staying the same, and that actually is a good positive sign. So just understanding how it's calculated. You're taking the last 12 of these bars, and that will give you your annualized year inflation number, which is 2.6% right now. Now, what does this mean for our markets? What does this mean for the next FOMC meeting, which is going to happen next month? Well, the forecast right now is still a pretty good odds-on favorite that we're going to see a rate cut of 25 basis points and lower by 25 basis points. So to me, I think that will be the course here. And any changes, of course, tomorrow we have the PPI numbers. You're spinning, man. I don't know if it's not my computer. It can't be this computer. You guys are spinning. Let me real quick do a. I got to get a tech guy over here because I've had really weird things happening. My video's all blurry. My speed right now for my internet is extremely fast. So something's wrong there, guys. I have huge bandwidth right now. I'm running my download at 262 megabits per second, and my upload is faster than that. So something is on Google's end, not mine today. Thank goodness it's not mine. Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on there, but my upload speeds and my download speeds are both significant to handle any sort of streaming. Not sure why that happened. Well, thank you for letting me know. And it's weird, I'm not getting any notices here either. All right, I will just keep on rolling then. Your video's been blurry on my screen for the last 3 days. Huh. I got to figure out what this is because it's kind of driving me nuts. I know that the video is blurry, and the weird part is, guys, I have I'll show you my mission control. You guys never seen this one before. Let me show it to you. So here is what I get to see. So when I'm switching the show to you, I get the video screen here, and I have all these buttons up top. And you can see down here at the bottom, it says drop frames. My internet speed rate is great. Everything's running. I'm running 30 frames per second. So everything looks good here. Nothing looking bad on my end. So I'm not sure whether that's... I'm not sure where that problem is coming from. I will do my best to fix it. But I have noticed the recordings have been blurry. So I'm definitely working on changing that. And I don't exactly know how, but I will get to it. All right, so let me continue on. Inflation was the number 2 topic. Of course, tomorrow we have the PPI numbers coming out, which in my mind leads. I think PPI leads the consumer price index, but that's just my opinion. Yeah, Lisa, there are a lot of, it's funny when you look over there at this screen, all across the top, you see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 26, 27 different screenshots. So like if I were to go over here and click on, oh man, it's tough when it's on this side. If I go back to me, click host, well, there I am. And then here, host with my name. There we go. So that's just part of the stuff I get to do. Anyway, the silliness that I have to do all by myself. Where's TJ? I miss TJ. What am I using for a background? I had a friend of mine create it. A friend of mine's a graphic designer, so he did the whole visual package, which I know I probably need to change that at some point in the future. I thought about redoing the whole thing, but right now I want to fix whatever's going on with this camera so that it doesn't look blurry for you guys, because it used to be full HD, really nice and crisp, but apparently not right now. All right, so inflation was my second piece, and I'm going to go into a couple trades, and I'll do the top 7, 8 markets, and then go to listener questions. I have a few things today. So I had a setup on the Russell, but the Russell never met my entry. We talked about it breaking down below this low here. I did short the Russell today. It was nice for a little bit of a gain, nothing huge, but pulled a few points out of the Russell 2000. But the trade that to me was noteworthy, at least the trade that I pulled the trigger on today, aside from the Russell, was on Supermicro Computer. So let's talk about this for a little bit. Supermicro Computer, I mentioned my average price on Supermicro Computers. If you take in the amount that I had collected, I collected $2.45 on, I thought it was $2.90, but it was $2.45. I collected $2.45 worth of premium on the SMCI that I sold, which makes my average price $20.55. So I actually lost on this trade. I closed it out today, and the main reason I close it, normally I would be fine owning Supermicro Computer. Let's say I own it at the $23 strike. I'd sell calls against it, and everything would be fine. Generate some income that way. I'm a little bit concerned that they're going to get delisted starting Monday. And the reason for that is they have a deadline imposed by the NASDAQ where they have to meet these requirements. One of them is have an auditor by the 16th of November, which is Saturday. So I think what you're going to see over the next couple of days, particularly Thursday and Friday, could be one of two things. On one side, you could see SMCI make an announcement that, hey, we in fact do have an auditor now, everything is going to be fine, and we'll get you our numbers next week. That's one probability, which is a slim chance, based off what Ernst & Young said. The second side of it is that they don't meet this deadline, and all of a sudden, everyone just starts freaking out, starts unloading their SMCI, and it drops even more, and it gets delisted. Now, that process to get relisted could take some time. The previous time, I think it happened to them back in 2018. They got delisted for, again, accounting things, and they took 2 years for them to get back and to be listed again. So I really didn't want to take that chance. I'm a little skeptical on this one. I'd hate to keep those $23 puts, and all of a sudden, it goes into the over-the-counter market and drops to, 10, 12 bucks, and the option market's not something on my end, guys. So there's your Boeing today. Did not sell puts on Boeing. I'm going to wait. I might on Friday. I will wait on Friday because I need to clear up some capital. And now that I closed out my SMCI, which locked up a little bit, right? You got, I had 20 contracts of SMCI, or 20 puts sold on SMCI, so that locked up a little bit of capital, about 40 grand. So we will see. Maybe I'll go and go after a little bit of Boeing here, but I want to see what happens if it breaks 140. And 140 could be a pretty ugly breakdown point for Boeing here, and it's right at that lower end of the range. We're currently at a 140.40 in the after-hour session, and that's that area right here. Let's go back into other beasts. You're talking big-time delays on my content on the show? It's bizarre, guys. It has to be YouTube because everything here is performing numbers fantastic. I'm showing no delays whatsoever. Mission Control tells me nothing. SMCI was listed this year and will be delisted this year. Fastest and deleted stock ever happened to? I don't know. Maybe it might be it might be the fastest one. I'm not sure about that, but it's definitely a conundrum, right? What an interesting roller coaster ride SMCI has been. I wonder if you guys are getting spinning from other stuff. It seemed like just audio as we see the mouse moving. Well, if the mouse is moving, then you're getting video. But there's your SMCI chart. I mean, honestly, this rally up that we saw start in 2024, it deserved to be corrected. That the long-term trend of things tells me that thing should be right around 20, 25 bucks. You'll be talking about mouth moving, but it sounds choppy. Yeah, I apologize, everybody. My end is perfect. I can show you speed tests and everything. Finally, my end is perfect. So it's got to be something on YouTube or my receiving. I'll have to do some experimentation there to get this all fixed. But last one is it's a AI. I won't even play my video because my audio is going to be off. So let's go to the last piece here I have, and then I will go through our top 8 and field any listener questions you have. Rivian. You guys know I have the 1150 calls on Rivian. I love it. Volkswagen gave them some more money. Basically said, we're going to bail you out. People getting absolutely smoked on SMCI. Absolutely brutal. And they're probably holding on. I mean, can you imagine if you bought into this hype of SMCI? And we talked about it back here. We talked about it earlier this year when it was just going straight up. And I was like, be careful, guys. These things are really dangerous when it goes parabolic like this. I don't know all the circumstances as to why it shot up like this, but yeah, there's somebody that bought that thing at 120 a share, and now they're sitting at 19 bucks in the after-hour session, down another 2.75%. This could be a complete meltdown Thursday and Friday, right? It could really be a big down day Thursday and Friday. If there's no news from them about an auditor or keeping their listing, it could be pretty ugly for SMCI. So be very careful. It's Google censoring me. I doubt it. I'm not that important of a person. So let me go back to Rivian. You guys, I mentioned on a few shows that my hope is, my dream is that it would be $11.49 on Friday. Now that could actually happen. Today we're actually up over $13. It hit $13.10 today, finishing up 13.71%. A fantastic day. Nice about face and reversal for a stock that's been going sideways for a while. It's great. Made for a fantastic day for me. Obviously, I am still long 6,000 shares. Plus, I have some put positions. I sold some puts as well at $10 strike price, so those will expire worthless. But I do have Thursday and Friday for it to drop down to this $11.49 mark. And we're already at $11.98. So another drop of 48 cents and I'll be good, and I'll get to keep my shares, sell calls the next week at 12 bucks or 12.50. Looking pretty good so far. So the news on Rivian is that Volkswagen's giving them a bunch more money. Basically, they have a partnership with Volkswagen, and they're just Volkswagen said, here's some more money to a lifeline, a tether, which is absolutely fantastic. It's a smart move on Volkswagen and partnering up with them. Great. I think that's it'll be the piece that keeps them going for a while longer. And I don't think they're going to go out of business, but at least it'll shore up any shortfalls that they have over there at Rivian. And that's why we saw such a big jump today. I mean, today was a huge day. I remember last night I was watching it as it surged in the after-hour session. At one point, Rivian was up almost 24% today alone. I jumped on the Rivian train with you, but only 1,500 shares. Cost base $10.19. Good job, Kenny. Nice. The question is, are you going to keep it? I mean, right now, today you're up $2 per share. That's a heck of a jump. I mean, 20% rate of return in whatever window of time. That's pretty darn good. You know, today's action was good. I'm fine to hold Rivian. I think it's going to just kind of keep trickling up slowly, which is what I would love it to do. That way, I could keep selling calls, 50 cents or $1 higher than the current strike, and just let it keep on going and earn more and more and more along the way. I made more on the underlier, but I like that I'm selling calls along the way to offset that premium. Already have covered calls at 13 expiring. Nice. Good for you, man. Nice trade. Nice trade. Okay, so I saw in here, Oliver, I didn't talk about window dressing. I need more time to prep for that because there's a lot of little details that go into window dressing, so I will get to that. Just won't do it today. It probably went parabolic for the very reason Ernst & Young walked away. Maybe. Absolutely, Kenny. Look forward to that. Let's talk about Peloton. P-T-O-N. So I don't like Peloton. I'm not a fan of Peloton. I think it's, and the only reason is, and again, I'm not showing my video, guys, because it's A, it's blurry, and B, apparently my audio is not syncing up with my lips, which is bizarre. The reason I'm not a Peloton fan is, look, I have countless friends who've got a bicycle or a treadmill in their garage, and now it's just a clothes hanger or covered in boxes. It's an exciting proposition for a little while that, hey, COVID's here. I'll run on the treadmill and I'll get my exercise and everything is going to be fantastic. Okay, maybe for a little while, but usually that just peters out and you end up throwing it in your garage and you just spend a ton of money, thousands of dollars on a device that you're not going to use very often. So, all right, good. If you're the one that's going to be using it a lot, great, good for you. I hope that you use it more. So, great. Chart-wise, okay, let's take my opinions about the company aside. Personally, this is what I would say parabolic, right? When you go from $2, well, let's say $3, it was actually $2.90, $2.80, and you jump all the way up to almost $9 in a period of 3 months, that's a parabolic move. To me, not a fan of those types of move, if you're not in it, right? Chasing it right now would be a dangerous move because, could this go up? Sure. There certainly could be some more upside potential here. I'll look at the last 2 quarters worth of earnings. They lost 8 cents and then they lost no money. So it looks like they're actually getting better. It looks like they finally turned the corner here and have stopped losing money on the most recent earnings announcement. That's great. I'm just not a fan of the Peloton system. I'd rather go to the gym and actually have people around me sweating and screaming at me and yelling. As far as buying into it now, I wouldn't. If anything, I'd be looking at selling puts at a strike price lower. I mean, down around the 650 probably is attractive for me. But as far as buying into it now, I couldn't do it. I don't like buying after things have moved that much. Now, you look at the long-term price chart here, and I'm sure what some of you are probably thinking is, oh, well, it's going to get back all, to these highs that it had way back here in the 180. I don't think so. That was COVID. That's when everyone was trapped in their homes, and of course these things were selling like hotcakes, and the money was abundant. I don't see the same drive pushing up Peloton anytime soon. Now, granted, part of this is monthly subscriptions. So what you do get, or you get the people who buy the Peloton, and you will never look as good as the women in the commercials, or the men. Come on. Where they do well is they have a monthly subscription fee. So even, with an old treadmill, you could just throw the treadmill in your garage and that whole investment is done. Unfortunately, a lot of people have these Pelotons and they pay for the monthly subscription services and they just don't turn it off. If you are using a Peloton, great, good for you. I hope you use it every single day, get your money out of it. I have some good friends down the street. They use their Peloton all the time. Love it. Great. I also have friends that have bought one and it sits in the garage, and I mentioned to them that you need to, cancel your subscription. Like, oh, well, I might use it. Well, you know what? Turn it off until you do. You can ride your bicycle without the system being on. You don't have to have the connectivity and have someone shout at you to pedal farther and faster. So, not a big fan. Look back at where Peloton was trading back during COVID. I know, Lisa, it's crazy. But, that was, look at what Zoom did as well. Remember, we talked about Zoom. I remember I had Sam Evans on the program. Oops, Z-O-O-M. You guys remember we had Sam Evans on the program, and we were looking at, we can go back and find the archives. When this was back here, Sam Evans and I were saying, short Zoom. Just short it. Because the competition. And my big argument was, they were the only show in town. They made it easy to have social interaction with everybody from home, work remotely. And then all of a sudden, you had Teams start to step up. You had Google, Google Hangouts or something like that. And a bunch of different services came into the picture. Now all of a sudden, Zoom is starting to rally a little bit again. But long term, this thing looks like garbage. Look where it's at now. Split adjusted. Was it split adjusted? Actually, I don't even think it was split adjusted. But this thing was up over almost $500 a share. Now trading at 81. This is another one that benefited significantly from COVID. And I think the Peloton is right in that camp as well. Let's see. I won't sell Peloton puts. I don't want to own it, even have the chance of owning it. There you go. And that's the beauty, Steve, is we have the ability to just walk away from anything and go, nah, not for me. Not for me. I do that quite a bit. Let me run through our top 7 here. The one I'm really interested in right now is gold. We drew up this kind of broad demand zone. The 2,618 level was the first point of concern. It broke that, continued on for the last 2 days, and now we're really running right towards the bottom end of this demand zone box I've got drawn. That low point is 2,572. Now, I already feel like there's a bit of damage done to gold here, primarily the fact that it's been breaking some of its most recent low points, right? We broke this recent low from October 9th. Now, all of a sudden, we're racing back towards this previous low below that, which is September 18th. And then it really isn't as clear of a picture. But it does feel like that weakness is put in here. And as Big Eb and others have pointed out, a lot of it has to do with that dollar, which is just still moving to the high side, continuing to push higher and higher and higher. So I'm looking at this right now as probably one of the most important pieces in our market. If this dollar continues to rally, the yield continues to rally, that's going to put pressure on our markets. Here's the dollar. I got them backwards. But there's your dollar breaking through those levels that we talked about, the 106. Now, all of a sudden, it just feels like it's going in 50-cent chunks per day, right? 2 days ago, we were at 105.50. Boom, we jumped to 106. Next day, we jumped to 106.50. Does that mean we're going to be at 107 tomorrow? If that does happen, your equity markets are going to suffer and gold is going to continue to drop. I dare say it. It may be one of those situations where you get ready to short gold if you haven't done it already. Ugh. Don't worry. I'm not selling my gold. I'm a hodler of physical gold, so I'm not getting rid of any of my gold. But maybe I'll go buy some more gold coins if we drop further down. And it's a similar picture here for other metals. Right, silver obviously is one of the big ones. We talked about this thing kind of being that Elliott wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Should have rallied up. Didn't even do that. So that's why I hate Elliott wave. I know. I apologize. I know we've got some Elliott wave practitioners in here, but I'm definitely not a fan of Elliott wave. I'd rather look at impulse and corrective phases. Right now, we're looking at a significant correction off of this high here for silver. A breakdown below these lows from October 8th. I think you're going to be searching for it lower low. So great. Let's find. Yeah, I can see it spinning right now too. It's spinning right now. Let me real quickly do this, just so you guys can see that it's not me. So we'll just do a spinning test right now, or a speed test. Guys, 292 is significant. That's not. There's going to be no issues for me there. Look at the upload. And for streaming, anything above 50 on an upload is fine, but I should be running about 130 to 200. Let's see here real quick. And so this is not me. This has got to be something at YouTube. My stuff is being sent out fine. I've got no issues. It's really kind of frustrating when you just don't know what the issue is. But there's your speed test. Upload did drop to 59, so that definitely slowed down quite a bit here, but I should be fine. All right, I guess I got to call my cable provider. Yeah, Oliver, it could be YouTube. But it could also be my ISP. I'm paying for a gig up and a gig down, and I'm getting 295. So I think I definitely need to talk to my internet provider, and maybe I'll switch again here if these guys can't fix it. Because if I'm paying for a gig up and a gig down, I should get that. Technician says high traffic time frame. It could be high traffic time frame, but I think I've got enough bandwidth here to be streaming the show totally effectively without inconveniencing you guys. So my apologies. I don't know why it's acting that way today. So that was gold. I love the gold chart. I was wondering to myself, do I decide to, sell some puts on GLD? Let's go back to GLD. Right, GLD is coming back into this lower end over here. Do I do the 236s? Historically the premium on GLD is not great. I've done silver, which tends to have higher premiums, but gold, for some reason, I just don't see the premiums being as juicy, but maybe I'll look at that 236 on GLD. Moving up to the Russell 2000, nothing big here. You had a really big spike this morning off I'll show you pre-market, as we came out with the inflation data. All of a sudden, you got the big surge in the morning, and then just slowly rolled over and just gave back all of its gains and ending near session lows. So I caught a little bit of this move, not the big part of it, not the big part. I caught it in here near the tail end of the session, but jumped out rather quickly. So I made a little bit there. Bitcoin, this is really your big story. I mean, if you look at the move up today, it's pretty impressive. I mean, our intraday high on the Bitcoin futures was $94,060, right? So we broke 94,000 today, and just the run that we've seen over the past couple of days has been fantastic. Now, it did give back a lot of that. We look at that long topping tail right there. Big surge up, then pullback. So we brought to 94. Let me see. I'll take that in just a second. I think a lot of cryptos can be taking some profits here, Big Eb. But Bitcoin was, number 6 on our list. Chart pattern wise, this is, I'm not going to say concerning, but you had a real ton of activity here. So you had a huge move up, and then we had topping and bottoming tails on it, ending slightly higher on the day, up 0.18%. But boy, I'm sure a lot of you are watching this one today with just excitement as it was rocking all over the place. Definitely good for my portfolio as well. NASDAQ, pretty boring. It's the 4th day in a row of almost identical candles, slowly stair-stepping lower. I know some people would call this a bullish flag formation. I would concur, because you've had 3 impulse days where it shot up aggressively, and then all of a sudden 4 were just kind of slowly drifting down with bottoming tails. So I do think that pattern-wise, this looks like a bullish flag, but I'm conflicted. Part of me thinks we need to take some profit here in this market. This pattern is actually a bullish pattern if you play it that way. So I guess time will tell, and my money will dictate what my belief is when we get there. Crude oil, nothing important. 0.64% pop for crude oil. Bounced right off those lows we saw here from October 30th. The question now is, does the next rally up break this high right around 72.81? If we get above that, then okay, we'll be back to moving higher highs. If not, we'll probably continue to push lower here, as the pattern has been lower and lower and lower. All right, we already looked at that 10-year bond, which was up just a little bit today. Oh, man, it just looks so good. Do we see 5% by the end of the year? Possibly. S&P 500 was up 0.05%, so a small little eking out that's 0.05% right now. It just rolled over. So today your S&P was down slightly, 0.28, but nothing really concerning there. You look at the patterns. There was a nice short opportunity yesterday, but it erased that, and it still feels like it's holding that 6,000 level. So at this point, I think 6,000 is your line in the sand for the S&P. And finally, your dollar index, which you already looked at, breaking through that 106 mark. We're currently at 106.49. I'll call it 106.50. This is probably one of the more impressive charts. And again, the higher this goes, the more pressure it puts on your equities and your commodities. So be careful out there for that. Big F said, yeah, I was sending screenshots of Bitcoin price to Bitcoin haters. Probably, yeah, it's funny. Yesterday when I posted that Bitcoin hit 90,000, like I told you, it did like 2 prints on there, just a couple of prints, and then came screaming down. I'm just going to shut my mouth. I no reason for me to boast about it. But yeah, it was you, Big Ab. It's your fault. Mine was the sell-off yesterday. Yours is today. Maybe we should do is like, you should put in like a disastrous picture, like, oh, Bitcoin's down 3% on the day. Oh no, and then watch it rally back up. Let's be negative on it. The trading gods will get you, right, Steve? They're listening, like, oh wait, is Big Eb boasting about his crypto? Let's take it down. I did post it out on Twitter. I don't know if any of you saw that. I haven't even looked. It's been so busy today. I posted on Twitter about the. Let me go to my profile and see if I can see the results of this one. So far, what do we have? Oh, wow. We got a lot of people who just don't care. And really, nobody's voting. Come on. Go to my Twitter and vote on this one. I'm curious. You just go to Trader Merlin on Twitter or X. Will Bitcoin reach 100,000 by Thanksgiving? So far, 58% saying 100%, 8% saying not a chance, and 33% I don't care. And I don't know whether that's an I don't care as an I hate crypto or whatever it does, it does. Based off this current market move, you would think that it's going to get there by Thanksgiving, but I put myself in that I don't care category. I mean, I'd love it if it happened, but I don't know. All right, let's see. Doesn't a strong dollar mean that the U.S. economy is strong? In one sense, yes, it does. I look at it more from the macroeconomic perspective, which is it also represents rising yields. So as the dollar increases, so do typically yields. And as I mentioned on yesterday's show, part of the reason is if the yields are spiking, which we're seeing that happen, not spiking, but definitely trending strong to the upside, foreigners have to sell whatever currency they have, convert that to US dollars, and then buy the 10-year bond or whatever longer time frame they want to buy. So a lot of it is that. The other part of it is retiring money, meaning money that's been burnt, that's been created out of thin air. A lot of it now has to be put back where they got it from. So you see the central bank selling bond holdings, what is $90 billion a month, and returning money. So they're taking money out of circulation. So essentially, they're taking supply away from the market, and if demand increases, that dollar is going to surge even more. So thank you, John. Appreciate it. So I think that's part of the reason that you're seeing that dollar surge. Yes, it does represent a strong economy, but it also is indicative of demand for dollars. Right? That to me is the bottom line. It means demand for dollars is higher. Well, why are we getting demand? Well, certainly we've got some of the most robust markets, so other people are out there buying dollars to buy equities, which will drive it up. But the longer term picture to me is higher dollars make it harder for us regarding prices, meaning an international exporter, somebody like Apple, might start to see a little bit of a pinch on their earnings if the goods and services they sell in, let's say, Europe, if that euro is really strong, fine. That means a weak dollar. They can buy more of our U.S. services. But if the dollar is real strong, that euro buys less and less. They can't buy as much, and that puts a strain on companies' profits going forward. We'll see if that dollar impact has that down the road. This is probably not your agenda this evening, but if you have time, my question is, how can a trader use the pre-market, post-market activity, volume trades that are making trade decisions? Cheers. All right, Ken, it's not on my agenda. What's my time frame like? All right, I'll go over that one, and then I'll wrap it up for the day. So this is an area, Ken, and others, that is contentious, right? It's one of those areas where some people will say one thing, others will say another. Most of my friends that were on the CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange, real traders, and the NYMEX and things like that, my name on here, it's at Trader Merlin. So just go Trader Merlin like this show, and that's what I'm on every social media channel. But just so you guys know, I'm on social media. I hate social media, but I'm on it. I'm trying to get better. Instagram, I'm on Twitter and YouTube. Trader Merlin, but make sure it's it's as you see on the screen here, TraderMerlin. That's it. If it's anything else other than that, it's a scammer trying to steal money from you. So don't listen to them, don't acknowledge them. There's too many scammers out there trying to impersonate me. So after our session, how do we use this information? So if you talk to the floor traders out in Chicago, a lot of them will tell you it's not important. It's not relevant, right? You don't really need to use that. You want to go when the most liquid times of the day are, and you can see at the bottom here how liquid the S&P is during regular market hours. If we look at it right now, look at how boring. This is a 5-minute chart here. There's nothing going on volume-wise. So the levels that get established in the after-hour session outside of regular market hours are typically not that significant. That's how most traders view it. However, let me put a vertical line on this chart, and I'll show you when the equity market's open. Let me just make sure we got some time right here. So this is 1 hour off. So 6:30. This is telling me that this is 355. 155. That should be the frozen point. And if I go back here, there's your, not your open. Let's go to, there's your open. All right. If we look at through the goalposts here between these two, I'll just go, there's your market open, market close. There are some interesting levels in here. And I'm going to try to remove everything of regular market trading just so you can see that portion of it. Okay. So right now, everything that's on this screen is after hours. This happened while the markets were closed. Now, what I like to do is I like to just go and map out some of the major turning points, right? So I might go back here to this low down here, which happened right around 10:30 at night. Actually a little bit lower than that, but these boxes keep getting in my way. I'll put some across this pivot point here. For me right now, those are the two that I'd be the most interested with. Those are like the biggest turns that happened that have not been broken yet. And once I have those, let me get rid of this guy. I use these as supply and demand. So I will go into, once this market opens and goes forward, I'm now going to look to use those levels as points for opportunity. Now, they didn't really work that well. I would argue this one here worked pretty good. It went a couple of points past it and then screamed to the upside. Of course, it's hindsight, right? That's all I use it for. I just use the Globex after-hours session for the futures markets just to tell me where the major turning points were, because something may have caused this to turn there. The truth of it is that the volume is so low that these are rather insignificant. They don't really reflect any abundance of greed or emotion. Now, there are periods of time where you will see surges and spikes in the after-hour session, and those levels to me become much more important. But that's pretty much it, Ken. I don't want to overcomplicate it. I don't know if it's necessarily decisions that are made, but I use them as potential turning points for the trading day. Right, that's all I really use those sessions for. So let's go back to another day. Let me go back. I don't even know what date it is. We'll just scroll. And, you know, you look at this one here. So this is literally the entire after hours session. Oops. There's your after hours session. All that's after hours. So I'll take the volume out here. I'll put low across this low here. I see a pretty sharp aggressive turning point there. And of course, we already have the line drawn across these peaks here. So as I go forward, you know, I may have been thinking there'd be some resistance here. Didn't really happen. It actually broke out, retested, and then took off. That's convenient. But I just use those levels for that. That's really all I do is use it for. Now I'm going to delete all these. And again, I'm a simple guy. I don't want to overcomplicate it. Anybody with a couple $100,000 can move things in the after hours. Honestly, JD, you don't even need a couple $100,000. If you had 20,000 illiquid, you could move that market. So to me, the real trading activity is based off supply and demand zones during regular market hours. But if you are someone that's a day trader, and that's what I cut my teeth on, I would go out there and I'd look at those Globex sessions, see where there were turning points in the after hours session, draw those lines and use that as almost like implied supply and demand for the trading day. So Ken, in a very quick, easy nutshell, that's pretty much it. 2 hours prior to the stock market open should be considered regular hours if you trade the ES. I kind of agree with that too. You know, that the opening, I would say maybe not the opening 2 hours of Globex, but maybe like 30 minutes before the market opens, because people are now getting the news, filtering, getting ready for the trading day, and I think positions are built that way. Well, there you go. Can traders distinguish between making a profit and actual demand or getting out of a bad trade decision? So to me, I would look at that after-hours session. At least from my perspective, I am only trading the after-hours session if it's an urgent situation, I need to get out of a position, or if there is some external event that's going on. Like the last major trade I made, which was like 20 contracts, was in 2016 when the markets went lock limit down off the Trump election victory in 2016. That might go down as one of the greatest trades I've ever made, which is so simple, so fast, so easy. But yeah, the liquidity is so bad that you really want to stay out of it. I think that there's plenty of opportunity, but you don't want to be trading anything big. Like if you're trading one contract, fine. You know, the spreads won't be atrocious bad. But if you're trying to get out of like 10 lots, good luck. You'll move that market. A lot of the time, the ES and NQ will test overnight lows and highs. Yep, you can use those for entry points. Exactly. That's kind of what I'm using them for. Why is there a drop in MicroStrategy today? So if you look, I mean, Bitcoin was still moving up. I think that you're getting profit taking on this one. I think you're getting shorters coming into the market. So part of the reason you're seeing MicroStrategy go up so much is the short interest. Let me really quickly bring up this one for you. The short interest on MicroStrategy it's a little high. It's not astronomically high, but you got to understand when it moves as much as it has over the past couple weeks, those people who are short are getting murdered. I mean, it's a bloodbath for them. And you look here, percent of the shares short, so 15%. That's a lot of people who are short this one. And remember, when you look at the price chart, those people have been short for a while. So, I mean, if you were short at 150 and MicroStrategy is now at 360, well, now it's at 328 in the after hour session, there's a lot of pain. So there may have been some short squeezing here. There may also be, I believe, people taking profit, but also I think the short sellers are trying to slam it back down. So it could be one of those stories where in another week or two, if MicroStrategy all of a sudden blasts back to the upside, you're going to hear about some people getting hurt on their shorts again, because I think they just doubled down here and added some short positions. So part of it's profit taking. The second half of it, I think, would be the shorting coming into the marketplace that on MicroStrategy. I mean, you look at that valuation, and maybe it's on the heels of the Bloomberg article that talked about this being 3 times the valuation, price of Bitcoin. So you're paying a premium of 3x to buy MicroStrategy, but you're also getting the 3x gains. So I don't know. It's that wild chainsaw that is, I guess, a surrogate for Bitcoin, and it's going to have a lot of activity. So I think that's part of the reason. Sorry, long-winded answer. I think that's part of the reason why we're seeing the sell-off today was profit taking and shorts coming into the marketplace. And lastly, Nvidia reports next week. Very well could be 125 by next Friday. Well, let's look at Nvidia real quick. It certainly could be 125. I'm not going to jump in front of Nvidia. I just think it's just too wild. I think the world of Nvidia, I think they're going to continue to do well. And talking to my friends who worked at Nvidia, they swear it's the greatest company that's ever been, and they love it with everything they got. And some of the things that they're telling me, pretty impressive. I don't know if I've told you this one before. I know it's I know I'm blurry, but I apologize. One of my friends who works there, he was saying that companies like ESPN, they can't broadcast every sport. So they can't pay an announcer to go to every sporting event and broadcast. It's just too cost intensive. You're not going to get, women's Cal State Fullerton volleyball on network TV. It's just, you can't have the team there for that on every game. And he was saying that they're working on technology using Nvidia systems, of course, that will allow you to have AI announce the games. So obviously there's jerseys on the players. The AI will be able to read the player's jersey, know the number, know who's making the plays and all this stuff. It was really kind of interesting. And so now you have AI announcing games, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, doesn't matter. And to take it one step further, he said, we'll even get to the point where you can choose who you want to be your announcer. You want Chris Collinsworth? You want, this is Howard Cosell at Cal State Fullerton volleyball. You could have any announcer you want because you just take their old historic, announcers shows, upload it, train the language model, and now it'll do whatever you want. I think that's pretty cool. So I could have any sport covered by an AI and any announcer I want. Like I don't like Tony Romo as a quarterback. I thought he was horrible for Dallas, but as an announcer, I love Tony Romo. I think he's just great analysis, and he opens my eyes up to more about football. But now imagine this. So not only we may not have real announcers in the future, it'll be AI telling us the play-by-play. The next step is there was a slider where you can select the amount of color commentary. So if you just want to hear the sounds of the game and the announcer to finally go, number 27 at the bat, here's Merlin Rothfeld. That's it. Or you could have it where the announcer just doesn't shut up. Oh man, Merlin Roth, what a great player. Man, when he played Little League up in Northern California, he batted 600. You know what? And just constantly giving you stats and figures. And that's the future, guys. That's the future. And that's all powered with AI. I think Merlin misses calling as an impersonator. No, I definitely did not. I just don't like Tom Brady. I'm sick of him. I'm sorry. I'm sick of him. He's a great quarterback. But as an announcer, definitely a Tony Romo fan. Absolutely. Anyway, just, you got to start thinking about what AI is going to do in the future, man. It's really kind of cool to think of the potential for this technology. And Nvidia, is without a doubt the leader. And as Big Ev said, it could be 155, it could be 170, it could be 180. I mean, that's what's so crazy about trying to get in front of Nvidia on their earnings next week. I don't know. I'm torn. I think that you look at the chart, I think it's going to keep on going up. What's to stop this thing? Well, you look at what's going on with Super Microcomputer, and again, I talked about this the last couple weeks on when the big names came out, the Magnificent Seven stocks. There was talk about slowing down capex spending. That's buying Nvidia chips, and when your big customers slow down, maybe the numbers slow down a little bit. I don't know. You listen to Jensen Huang talk about it, and he's saying they've got unbelievable demand for their chips, and I believe it. The question is that already priced in to their earnings? Have they already booked that and billed it as sold, and we see the numbers slow, or is that demand still so big it pushes them higher? Got to be careful. Got to be careful with this one, but it certainly will be exciting. Personally, I hope we see a huge crush on it so I can sell some puts at monstrous premium and buy Nvidia at a much, much lower price. Liz says, looks like Nvidia is basing to break out higher, but who knows? It does. Right? This trend line is not really a trend line. It's just to show you that it's making higher lows, but it's been making those higher highs. You've got consolidation. My guess, honestly, Liz, would be that this is going to kind of slowly go sideways until the earnings. I don't expect to see big moves until after the earnings. I think right now everyone's like, okay, calm down. Let's just see what happens here. But earnings, yes, will be after market close on the 20th, Wednesday. Just think Nvidia has to blow it out of the water again to move the needle. I think they do. I think they do, but I'll watch with anticipation as it happens. All right, guys, I didn't plan on doing an hour show. Thanks for dragging those questions out and making this a 1 hour show. Tomorrow we talked about PPI number, Producer Price Index will be your big news, but you also have Jerome Powell speaking. That will be at 11 a.m. Careful with that one, guys. Oh man, my clock is all off here, so I'm on. It should be. Yeah, I should be fine. I don't know why. It looks like 11 a.m. Jerome Powell will be speaking. The reason I say I may be fine is my clock says it's 12:47. It's not 12:47. I need to be. Where's my Los Angeles Pacific time? Save settings. Okay, now it's done. So let me correct my time here. I don't know why that was off. Your PPI number was before market open, 1 hour before market's open, and the Fed chair is noon. My apologies, noon Pacific time. So just keep an eye on that. He can make anything happen. You also have Bank of England for those of you trading the British pound, and that's pretty much it. Crude oil inventories as well. So there you go. Thanks, Liz. I know you guys love the streams. I love doing them, and I appreciate you guys tolerating. I don't know what's going on. I will reboot this whole system. I'll do some diagnostics tests to see if it is in fact on my end. I don't believe it is, but I can't imagine YouTube having issues like that impact all of you. So I will check on that, and I still need to get my buddy over here to help me fix this blurriness. I apologize for that. I can only do so much. I've got limited skills. What is it, Liam Neeson? I've got a very specific set of skills. Yeah, I do too, and AV tech is a weak point. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed it. Tomorrow, if you have something you want me to discuss, email it, tradermerlin@gmail.com, or you can put it down below any of the YouTube videos. I will see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody.